Hello everyone, my name is Christopher Massimo, and today I'm going to be doing a 5 and 5 over why esports and traditional sports are more alike than you may think, and why companies like ESPN and TBS are starting to air esports in the gaming industry as a whole. So let's jump right in. At number 5, I have camaraderie. Okay, so what brings teams together? It's that camaraderie piece of going through a trial together, experiencing hardships together, and that, psychologically speaking, is what brings groups of people together. If you notice, if you at the beginning of a season, at the end of a season, if you've ever played sports, you'll notice that you grow closer with these individuals through trial. Okay, and that's a very common facet of being human. It's going through something together and that shared experience is what bonds you. So that is no different than an esports team spending hours and hours practicing on their craft in comparison to an NBA team or a college team practicing on their craft, going through highs and lows, peaks and valleys of competition, and so on and so forth. The camaraderie that you see in esports and in gaming is not really that different than traditional sports. So let's move on to number 4. Okay, loyalties. Okay, with camaraderie, with that coming together, people like to watch that. Okay, people like to watch the. Why do we watch LeBron James and the Lakers now? To see how the dynamics and the pieces will fit together. A lot of people like to watch esports teams for the exact same reason, to see if the camaraderie will be there. And then when they find a group that they like, they become loyal to them. It's no different than being loyal to a team that's your hometown team and being a homer, saying I'm going to cheer for all the Dallas teams or New York teams or New Orleans teams because that's my home team. It's no different than following LeBron James from Cleveland to Miami. That's like following an esports player from one team to another, or following a group of esports teams that are in your area. The loyalties that you find from the viewership are not that different than that you find in traditional sports. So let's move on. When you have these loyalties and you have this camaraderie and you're cheering for a particular team, you naturally get rivalry. Right? You get rivals. Okay? People love to watch conflict. They love to watch sparks and violence, and even though you're not going to get violence per se in esports, you are going to get a lot of trash talking. You are going to get a lot of similar facets that you would get in traditional sports, and people like to watch that. They like to see beef. They like to see competition, and many esports teams have similar heated rivalries to that of traditional sports. And rivalries are entertaining. Okay, they create investment. They create loyalty, especially if it's somebody, a group of people that are from your area, or maybe there's somebody that you know in there, and that creates investment. And investment creates viewership. Okay? If I have rivalries and I have investment, I have loyalties, and I'm dedicated to this particular team or this particular player, then I'm going to watch. Okay, projections say that by 2021, approximately 250 million people will be regular esports viewers. It's not including Twitch, it's not including YouTube, it's not including any of the other media outlets that you can watch gaming with. That's just the traditional esports, okay? For comparison, the average NFL game has about 16.5 million viewers. Multiply that by 16 games in a regular season, assuming there's one bye week, and you get approximately 264 million views for that team during the season. Well, that's only 14 million more views than the esports. And again, this isn't counting any of the other modems or outlets for viewership. Okay. Well, what do you get when you get viewership? And this is the big one. This is the big one as to why companies like ESPN are jumping on board. Money. People and companies want money. Okay, if there's people watching and there's people willing to sit there and invest their time, money on merchandise and viewership, then other companies are going to say, hey, let's find a way to make this a sport, right? That's why it's called esports, and among other reasons, that's why ESPN will consider it a sport. That's why other companies will consider it a sport. Okay, in 2017, the gaming industry made about $36 billion. Okay, another comparison for you, if you take the main 3 sports in America, baseball, football, and basketball, and combine their annual revenue in 2017, baseball had about 10 million, I think football was about 8 million, and I think basketball was about 7 billion, I'm sorry, 10 billion, 8 billion, and about 7 billion. You combine all those together, You get about, what, 25 billion? That's still 11 billion short of the video game industry in 2017. So about 2/3, slightly over 2/3 of what the gaming industry is. And those are your major sports in America. I bet if you added hockey and MMA in there, it still wouldn't crack the gaming industry. And to many, the professional leagues in America are considered the most dominant leagues outside of perhaps soccer. But baseball, basketball, and football, these are the three dominant leagues, and they're viewed worldwide. So if you have camaraderie, loyalties, rivalry, viewership, and especially money, companies are going to take notice of that. They're going to take notice of that, and they're going to air this stuff online. They're going to air this stuff on TV. They're going to air this stuff on direct TV. They're going to eventually have pay-per-view, and I think in 10 to 20 years, they're not going to differentiate between a gamer and an athlete. They're just going to call them athletes because they're going to have so many similarities with only a few differences, one being a controller, one being, I mean, you could break down the differences more, and I'll do a video on that. But really, there's enough similarities to where you can categorize the two as the same. And the primary purpose of this video is to demonstrate that companies are going to take notice of this. And that is why they're going to air it. So guys, that's my 5 and 5. Hopefully this brought a little information to you about why gaming and athletes and traditional sports aren't that different. Let me know what you think. Did I get it right? Did I get it wrong? Did I have the order correct? 1 being the most important, 5 being the least important. I felt like these really flowed together. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and let me know what you think.